Yeah, George Galloway said that he's not going to fight for the Arabs anymore. Curious George. Yeah, well, it seems like when Bashar al-Assad left, he took a lot of Westerners with him, or rather, the sheep's clothing that they had on got caught in the door of his getaway car, and it left a lot of wolves exposed. So now you see, just as I was saying before, you see all of these faux pro-Palestinians, these cosplaying anti-imperialists, from Galloway to Scott Ritter, Vanessa Beeley, and so on, whoever else. When they see that the Muslims are getting freed from Iranian proxies that have been sowing sectarian division and instability across the region, when you see that the Muslims are getting free from those people, well, they scream bloody murder and they tell us that all hope is lost. You know? Well, the way I see it, alhamdulillah, that just means that they themselves have actually lost hope themselves in their imperialist colonizer subjugation project in the Middle East. That's what I see. So good riddance to bad rubbish. These people were absolutely lusting for a region-wide war, just as much as the neocons. In fact, they've never been anything but neocons. They're neocon wolves in anti-imperialist sheep's clothing. Too many Muslims have been fooled by them. The same way that too many Muslims have also been fooled by Iran because of their braggadocious rhetoric, and they've been fooled by Hezbollah, which has always primarily been just an instrument for bolstering Iranian influence in Lebanon and for undermining the Lebanese government. That's what Hezbollah's main mission has actually been, at least since for the last 20 years. But all of them say things that we like to hear, even though they rarely have ever lived up to the image that they crafted for themselves by means of their rhetoric. All of them have actually, in reality, served the interests and the agendas of the colonizers in the Middle East. And so, yes, alhamdulillah, if they are disheartened and they feel like they want to tap out, well, that's a good sign. They never wanted good for us. They never wanted good for us. And now they're hopeless about preventing good from coming to us. So they have nothing left to say. And their silence is golden. Look, I've seen people posing as pro-Palestinian, posing as pro-Muslim. And they're like frenemies, Like if you listen to them, you could literally hear the exact same things coming from the mouth of a Ben Gavir or a Netanyahu or a Smotrich. Greater Israel is being achieved. The Arabs are weak. The Arabs are defeated. The Muslims are defeated. Israel's going to take over everything. On and on and on. I mean, do you realize how fanatically Zionist you actually sound right now by the things that you're saying? You're saying it as if you're lamenting it so that we'll listen to it, but you're trying to implant that in our heads. It's absolutely bizarre that we tolerate people bigging up our enemies and deriding us, and we treat it as if it's someone who is on our side. Look, what happened is a hideous dictator was removed in Syria, and he was not removed by any militia, and he was not removed by any rebellion. He was removed by the consensus of all of the major state power players, Turkey, Russia, China, the Gulf, GCC, Saudi Arabia, and with capitulation from Iran. This is nothing but a good thing. All of these major players that have influence in Syria and in the region, they're all on the same page, and they're coming together to oust a horrendous, vicious, brutal dictator. How is that bad? And the fact that all of these major players are on the same page, they are coordinating, they are cooperating, they are negotiating, well, that only bodes well for the future of Syria and the future of the region. Iran's disruptive influence is being contained, and Iran does appear to be making an effort to accept the new reality and to adapt to the vision for stability and regional cohesion. And this is good. This is all extremely positive. Look, Israel is being led by a complete lunatic who cares nothing whatsoever about the best interests of his own people. He's overstretching and he's overreaching beyond the capacity of the Israeli military and the Israeli economy. He's making decisions in a delusional state of personal desperation and political panic. He's clearly terrified. Israel is clearly terrified that Syria has been liberated from al-Assad, who they knew all along that they never had to fear. That's why they're lashing out like a cornered, wounded animal. Because yes, they are being surrounded. Israel is being surrounded by a newly cohesive, a newly organized, cooperative region that is increasingly acting with independent autonomy and in defiance of the United States. So they can see that the end of the road is fast approaching for Zionism. They can see it, and so can all of the cheerleaders of Israel who masquerade as critics, who masquerade as anti-imperialists, who masquerade as pro-Palestinian. So you see them, and this is their last-ditch effort to try to mislead you. This is their last-ditch effort. You see them trying to throw up their hands and tell you that the end is nigh, that all hope is lost, trying to make you think that it's your end and not theirs, and that your hope should be lost, when actually the reality is that their hope is lost about their own plans and their own agenda in our region. I've said that the BRICS, a national OCGFC plan, appears to be to support the establishment of a soft empire across the Middle East and North Africa, which will most likely be a sort of economic and political collaboration between the GCC and Turkey. And the Gulf has been pursuing this. They've been pursuing this soft empire for quite some time, through covert and overt means, through soft power and through firepower here and there, such as in Syria over the past decade, and unfortunately, tragically, contemptibly in Sudan right now. They've been pursuing it through investment. They've been pursuing it through diplomacy, through economic clout, through leverage, through trade-offs, and to some degree, through exploitation and coercion and extortion. But by whatever means, they have been pursuing it. And I believe that they have been successful in pursuing it. And they've been successful enough in what they've been trying to do that they've been able to convince BRICS and convince the A National OCGFC that they should back it. And I think they are backing it. And with this support, the Iran obstacle to regional stability is being dealt with. And Iran seems to understand that they do need to cooperate. And I believe they are trying to cooperate. There's actually a level of unity and a level of solidarity across the Middle East that is absolutely unprecedented in my lifetime. Maybe even in a century. So yes, if someone is disgusted by this, if someone feels frustrated by this, if they feel outraged about this, well, then we know which side you're on. And we know what you really want for the Muslims. And what you really want for the Arab world, the Middle East, the Muslim world. And it's not our side that you're on. And it's not our best interest that you want. Like I've said, in order for the regional plan to be successful, militant groups have to be eliminated. Conflicts in the region have to be ended. And Zionism has to become untenable, which means basically unprofitable. The Israeli economy now, after more than a year of the Gaza genocide, the Israeli economy is in tatters. Their citizens are fleeing. Their military is overstretched. Their government is unfathomably corrupt and fanatic. Their prime minister is a fugitive. The entire global consensus is against them. They're rapidly becoming a serious liability for America, a serious liability for the West. Their whole project is imploding before our eyes. It's not surprising that Israel, in its death throes, is flailing with increasing violence. Violence and brutality have always been the lifeblood of the Zionist project. And it's expected, I think, that its violence would intensify in its frenzied attempt to stay alive. But the more outrageous Israel's savage belligerence becomes, the more it's weakened. And the more America and the collective West, subhanAllah, they lose any semblance of credibility and any influence worldwide. Because look, we all know what's supposed to happen. We all know what's supposed to be done here. You know, the UN ceasefire resolution last Ramadan used the exact same wording that was in the resolution that was used to justify NATO's actions against Libya. So you have a country that's literally committing genocide, that's literally committing acts of war, acts of aggression, war crimes against at least 5 different countries in the region. You know, you have a head of state who is incredibly unpopular, who is mentally unstable, psychologically unstable. He's leading an extremist government, behaving in increasingly volatile and dangerous ways, bringing the world to the edge of World War III. Obviously, if this was any other country, the West would launch violent regime change, overthrow. You know, there would be a no-fly zone over Israel and Gaza, and any Israeli aircraft would be shot down, and Israel would be subjected to a coalition bombing campaign that would reduce Tel Aviv to rubble. You know, there'd be militias, there'd be mercenaries marauding through the streets of Israel, just searching to try to find which sewer Netanyahu was hiding out in. And he'd be apprehended and he'd be handed over to the International Criminal Court. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what the West taught us is supposed to happen, because that's what they have done elsewhere. So the very fact that they're not doing that, they're not making that happen with regards to Israel's belligerence, Israel's aggression, Israel's violence. The very fact that they're not making that happen with regards to Israel completely discredits them on the global stage. I'm saying it completely obliterates the West's legitimacy on the global stage. Israel has put Western hypocrisy on full display, and they've exposed them for what they are and for what they always have been. Colonizers, raiders, looters, pirates, killers who think that a mask is an airtight alibi. Israel and Zionism are absolutely sinking the collective West, and I don't doubt for a minute that they're going to cut ties. They're going to cut them loose, because Israel is an anchor. It's not a flotation device, and the West is going to have to let them go sooner rather than later if they don't want to be dragged down into the depths of oblivion.